You want to start with a vision or mood board, and it's not just a collection of images, it's also what do you want the book to feel like? Is it a hardback? Is it a paperback? How many pages do you want this finished product to have? And I know that sometimes it can be hard to visualize that if you've never written a book. So I always suggest field trip, go to your local bookstore, preferably an independent bookstore. Okay, but go find books that are closely related to the idea that you have in your head and hold them. How much do they weigh? How big? What are the dimensions, right? If you've never produced a book before, these are things that you might not even have considered, but are a vital part to your finished product, because all of that will go into book production. When you're talking with a printer, you need to be able to tell them, I want a 5x8. It's going to be this thick, the spine's going to be, because all of that goes into pricing and how much it's going to cost to produce your book. Your resources, like I said, we're here at a conference, you're going to meet people who do photography, you're going to meet branding agents, you're going to meet people who are professionals, marketers. You'd want their resources when it relates to your book somewhere in that book, in your Build-A-Book. Writing schedule. We're going to talk about that too. But again, I'm also a planner addict. And so give me a calendar, a weekly layout, a daily layout, I'm in heaven, right? With all my colored pens. And so I'm blocking time off and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write for so long today, so let me draw that block here. Okay, all of that goes into your Build-A-Book. Production timeline, because again, from start to finish, how long do you want to take? Not necessarily down to the minute, but how long do you want to take to produce this book? Now, I'm here to tell you my particular process. I can take you from blank page to finished product in as few as 6 months. Yeah, it can happen, but all of that with your writing schedule, your production timeline, all of that goes in your Build-A-Book. Your draft, again, I'm getting the voices, I'm getting scenes, I'm getting dialogue all throughout the day. So I'm writing my draft. I'm trying to keep it all in my Build-A-Book. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes I'm sitting at work. Word document just happens to fall open and I have now written 3 chapters on my lunch break or whatever. But I've got that draft now, that file that I can then transfer into my Build-A-Book storage. And then finally, marketing plan. For those of you who are writing a book and you actually want to sell it, you're going to want to know how to do that. And again, you would keep it all here. Section 2, we're going to get into building the draft. And so you want to outline or plot or talk about, describe the theme. Now this works regardless, again, of the genre. So for example, I had a client who was actually putting together a poetry book. And we talked about some of the pieces that he wanted to include, because I'm like, establish a theme for this particular, because you don't just want to throw stuff in there willy-nilly. Readers are going to read that and it's going to be taking them all over everywhere. And it's not going to produce as an enjoyable experience as maybe you wanted. Or it could be that the theme is conservation. And so all of your poems are going to be about nature and about what humans are doing to it and how we can bring it back from the brink or whatever. But we wanted to kind of outline and talk about what the theme was, so then he knew what pieces to include. Timeline, characters, your process arc or story arc. This applies if you're doing nonfiction as well. So my mom's really into genealogy and she has written several stories about characters in our family. And even though these are real life people based on real life newspaper articles and things that we've gathered, they're still characters that we need to kind of describe, so that even though it's genealogy research, we're still telling a fun, exciting, I guess, thrilling story. And then section 3 is where the kind of boring stuff happens, right? This is again where we're talking about what resources are you going to call on, your production timeline, your budget, your marketing plan, cover art image. These original pictures are in my Build a Book under cover imagery. As you go through and you're looking at different things, you might see something in nature, right? Or on Pinterest or whatever. You capture that image and you save it. You might not use it, but at least you have it.